Hey y'all, happy Thursday. I'm so glad to be back. As you know, how I always say, it's another beautiful Thursday in God's kingdom. And y'all, I don't know about y'all, but for some reason, February has been a lot. Like, I have been so busy, not just with like great things happening on the business front with wonderful opportunities, but like just life. And I was, messaging one of my clients back and forth, and she was just talking about how just life has just been so much. And I'm like, that happens to all of us. It has been so much. I've just been so busy with all good things, just taking care of my family and growing my businesses and things like that. But like, this is the time where I get to chill, take things easy, and hang out with you guys. So I'm super excited to be back again. Thank you to all of those who watch live. Thank you for those of you who come back and watch the replays. I appreciate all of you. If you're live, just let me know you're live. If you're watching a replay, just comment replay so I know you're watching the replay. Today, I'm excited to talk about 3 ways to stand out online. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Shanta Prince, and I work with high achieving professional women, and I teach them how to turn their expertise into an online empire by showing them how to package up all the goodness that God put on the inside of them into a beautiful offer that they can sell online. So I show them how to package up their expertise and I teach them how to sell it. And so a lot of the things that I talk about are around branding, marketing, sales, and things of that nature. So today, one of the biggest things that that's has become a real struggle, especially now, is just standing out online because there's so many people talking about what we're talking about. Like I just told you that a lot of the things that I teach on are around branding, marketing, and sales, but there are thousands upon thousands of other people who talk about those things. So, how do I stand out? How do I differentiate myself? And this is one of the biggest questions that I get from people who are stepping into the online arena. They want to know, how do I stand out when there's already 50,000 people talking about what I talk about? The struggle can be real, right? If you just really think about like, oh my goodness, like how many people are already doing this? How many people are already talking about what I talk about? I when I go to the store to buy bread, like I look at all the different brands of bread that are on the shelves. And this could be with anything. Like if you just go to the store and you look at all the different barbecue sauce brands that are on the shelves, like all of the different options to choose from. And there's something for everybody. If you like spicy barbecue sauce, if you like your barbecue sauce sweet, if you like sugar-free barbecue sauce, they have something for everybody. Okay. And so the thing is, none of those barbecue sauces that are on the shelves or those different brands of bread that are on the shelves back down because there were already 50 other brands of bread or 50 other brands of barbecue sauce to choose from, right? They didn't back down because if they had back down, they wouldn't be on the shelves. So the thing is, a lot of people shy away from doing what they feel called to do because they feel like, oh, there's already enough people doing it. There's already a lot of people. Listen, there's not enough people to possibly serve the amount of people who need help with whatever it is that you do. For example, I teach branding, marketing, sales, and I help my clients to create offers. I literally design offers for them while they talk about what they love to do, what they're great at doing. I'm typing because I'm creating an offer because it's just my God-given gift. I just have the gift to be able to just look at who you are, and sometimes I see things that you don't even see. And I can help you to create an amazing offer just by who you are and what you enjoy doing. The thing is, like, there's so many people that need help with branding that it's impossible for one person to serve all the people who need help with branding, right? It's impossible for me to help everybody who needs help creating offers, right? There's so many people who are looking for help who need these kind of services that one person can't possibly serve them all. Two people can't possibly serve them all. 1,000 people can't possibly serve them all. And so there is enough space for everybody to be successful. I promise you. And one of my firm beliefs is that God is abundant and he never runs out of resources. I promise you, there's enough space for all of us, right? You can be successful. There's enough of the pie for you. So, But one of the things is you want, when you're stepping out, you want to be seen, you want to be heard, you want your people to find you. So I'm going to talk about some ways you can stand out online. And some of these ways, some of these things that I'm going to talk about today, you may have or may not have considered them. But after today, you're going to have some great ways that you can stand out and show your uniqueness, so that the people who you're called to can identify you as a person who they need to work with. Okay. So the first thing that's always going to help you stand out online is, number one, is your story. Now, I've talked about this before in some of my master classes. Some of you guys know that I do my 9-day master classes where I teach for 9 days straight. That's one of my favorite times, because as you can see, I love teaching. You guys know, like, I have to come on here on Thursdays and like kind of I watch the time and I try to, like, get done in less than an hour. But this is what I love to do. I love to teach. It is my thing. This is something that you could wake me up in the middle of the night for, and I will be ready. I'll be ready to teach my topic. So your story is going to help you to stand out, because no one has the same story as you. Okay, so when I taught this in my master class, my free master class, I talked about how to actually tell your story, but your story is not like anybody else's. We all have something different that we do. We all have a different background. One of my friends, she also teaches on branding, but we have two completely different styles of teaching, and we have two completely different backgrounds. So already we're different, because she came from a hospitality background and I came from the military. So you can imagine that a lot of the ways that we approach things are going to be different. But the way that we do things is exactly what our clients need. Her clients are, she has a different type of client than what I have. And so because of that, we attract different people, and that's totally okay. And so that's why I never have a problem with collaborating with people who talk about the same thing that I talk about, because the person that I'm collaborating with, they're going to draw people to them, and people are also going to be drawn to me because of my story and my personality. And so it always works out. And for me, and I say this all the time, you guys, I don't want to work with anybody who I'm not called to work with. I only want to work with people I'm called to work with. Listen, trust me, having the right clients is everything. When you're working with people who don't excite you, it's dreadful. It is dreadful. But when you work with people who are fired up, they're interested in what you offer, they're ready to get the work done, you have a good relationship with them, that is so exciting. I always used to tell my clients when I would meet with them, I would tell them, like, I'm so excited to hang out with you guys tonight. I actually look forward to working out with them. I like my clients, but let me tell y'all, let me tell you, I have heard people who have clients say out of their own mouths that they do not like their clients. And it's funny to me, but not funny, because how did you get caught up working with people that you don't even like? To me, I can't live like that. If I have to meet with my clients every week, I want to like my clients, right? And so when I get on my clients, we have a good time. We laugh sometimes we cry, but we get stuff we get stuff done. So you want to work with people who you're called to work with. You want to work with the right people. Hey, Candace. Candace said frustrating, and it'll make you want to close your business down. It'll make you want to shut your whole business down. So you want to draw in the right people. So let's talk about your story. Your story does not mean you have to air your dirty laundry, right? Because we all have a past. We all have some skeletons that we probably have dusted up, swept up in the closet. We all have something, right? I always tell people I haven't been saved all my life, but we all have something. And when I talk about telling your story, for a lot of people, it's scary because they're not ready to tell certain things yet. And that's okay. You don't have to air your dirty laundry to have a powerful story. In essence, your story is where you came from. Hey, your story is about where you came from, what you did, what inspired you to be where you are. And what happens is, you guys, when people hear your story, some of your clients are going to see themselves in your story, right? So let's say For example, I am very interested in like blending different teas and stuff like that. So I've got like burdock root, um, sarsaparilla, all kinds of different things. And so I recently just invested in some knowledge on how to get better at blending teas. And so let's say the person that I bought from, she has a story about how maybe she was ill, or maybe somebody in her, or a loved one was ill, and she started learning teas to heal her family or heal herself. That's important to me as a customer, because I'm like, wow, that is so cool that she did that. That is a part of her story. And so I that's something that I'm very interested in. You guys, my kids had just like, I think it was 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. My kids, both of my kids had the flu. Y'all, it was bad. It was tough. It was a tough week. But we fought to get them back good and back to 100%, but it was rough, right? And so if I hear somebody saying, "Listen, I started doing this because I started learning about this because one day my kids got really sick and I just wanted to help them get better, and I started blending these teas and they started recovering." And so I'm interested in it as a consumer because I can see myself in that story. When you tell your story, your ideal clients and customers can see themselves in your story, and it makes them more attracted to you because they feel like they know you. I have people that I buy from that I've never met in person, but I feel like I know them. I know their spouse's name, I know the dog's name, I know the kids' names. I feel like I know them. So because I feel like I know them, I trust them. And so whatever they're selling, I'm buying, right? That's because they share their story. So when you talk about your story, you talk about why you do what you do or how you got to where you are or part of your background. Most of you guys already know that I was in the Navy and that I was in IT in the Navy. And because of that, I love technology. I love the technical stuff. And I'm actually, if you really pay attention to what I'm doing, hey, lady, if you really pay attention to what I'm doing right now, I'm leaning more into that part of my gift where I'm helping my clients even more to conquer technology, because technology holds so many people back from being great. So it's like you may be awesome at what you do, but maybe technology is like a downer for you. Maybe you're like, listen, if I could work this technology, I would be showing up anywhere and everywhere. Well, we don't want you anywhere and everywhere. We really want you where your clients are at. But you get the point that I'm making. And so I'm leaning more into that area of my gifting where I am helping my clients to conquer technology because they're amazing and they need to be seen. And so we got to overcome this technology so we can get your story out there. But when you share parts of your story, it's very helpful. You guys, if you go look at any one of my pages, you'll see that I tell a lot of stories. And it's so fun because I've seen people in person and they're like, well, what happened with the so and so? Or what? Like, people are really interested in stories. Why? Because people relate to stories. We relate to stories. Even if we don't remember, you may not remember click here, click this, do that, but you will remember a story, right? You will remember a story. My clients are so bomb. Your clients are so bomb. You are so right, Natasha. I say that all the time. Like, I'm always, y'all, honestly, I really do believe this. I believe that my clients are better than everybody else's clients. Like, I really, I really believe that. Like, I work with the best people. Like, y'all, I will fight somebody over who got the best clients because I really believe that I work with the best people. Um, but y'all, you got to share your story, but you got to really share it in a way that's inspiring to people. When people see that you have been through this or that you have conquered this, that's so inspiring. It inspires people, it motivates them. Yes, we like the inspirational quotes too, but your story itself is inspirational. And if you don't see it like that, you got to start seeing it like that. Like right now, you are an inspiration. You are a big deal. You are a big deal. And if you don't see yourself as a big deal, nobody else is going to see it. You are the one who's carrying the vision, right? We can't see the vision. You got to make us see the vision. Only you see the vision, but you got to manifest. You got to make that vision come alive so that we can see it. This is where so many entrepreneurs get stuck because they're working on something that they can't see yet. And for some people, it's very difficult because you're working and working and working and you can't see it yet. But you're building the vision that you see in your spirit, but you can't see it with your natural eyes yet, and that could be very discouraging. But as a visionary, you have to make us see the vision, right? We can't see it yet. You can see a version of it. You got to work until that vision comes alive, and so we can all see it. And so when you put your story out there, y'all, like your story is a part of your marketing because you're marketing yourself, and your story really is what has the drawing power. Your story has the power to pull people in. When you talk about how you went through this certain thing and you overcame that thing, it builds trust, it inspires people, and it makes them excited about working with you. Okay. But there is a certain way you want to tell your story, right? You tell your story in your own time when you're ready to tell your story. But here's the thing, y'all. I know the question may come up because people have asked me this before. Well, how do I know what to tell, what parts of my story to tell, when to tell that the part of the specific story? Here's how you figure that out. When you are making a certain point, then you tell a part of your story that helps you to deliver that point, to make that point. Okay. So if you are teaching in a webinar and you're launching, you want to tell the story about how you got to where you are or where you started. Because that journey that you went on could be very important to people who are considering buying from you. And so when let's say if I'm doing a launch and I'm talking about how to build your brand, then I would tell the story of how I got started with helping people to build their brand. I would talk about how I was struggling to find who I was without my uniform when I got out of the Navy. And I'll talk about how I prayed and prayed and prayed to discover my purpose and how it was a huge identity crisis for me. That was a tough time in my life. And then I would talk about how when I did find my purpose, I was so excited and I wondered how many other people were struggling to find their purpose like how I was. And then I talk about how I found my purpose and then I realized that I could make money living my purpose. That was, listen, that day when I discovered that, I sat in the classroom when I cried. Some of you have heard this story already, but I sat in the class because I was working on my Master of Divinity in Practical Theology. And when everything became clear to me that okay, now I know what I enjoy doing. And I just realized that I could make money doing this thing. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to struggle financially again. Because if I know how to make money doing the thing that I'm good at, why would I ever be broke? Right. And so some of you heard me talk about this during my master classes, where it was a struggle because I was fresh out of the Navy. I was a full-time student working on my master's degree. I had this new baby at home. My savings had run out, and I was just really lost trying to figure out what to do next. And so I went on this journey to discover my purpose. I discovered my purpose, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can make money doing this." And I said, if I figure out how to make money doing what I love, I'm going to help other women to do this too. Because I wanted to be able to have the freedom to be with my baby. Um, I worked a job for 1 year, y'all, a federal job for 1 year. And when my son was born, I quit that job and I never went back to work again because I really wanted to create a life where I'm available for my babies. And building an online business has enabled me to be able to do that. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping you to build a business online so that you can be free to do the things that you want to do. So you can be free for your family or for your loved ones in any way that you need to be. You can be available for them and you can make the kind of money that you want to make, right? So I would tell that story about how I discovered my purpose and how I started my business actually teaching people how to discover their purpose. And then that evolved into personal branding, right? And so a lot of people can relate to that, right? They can relate to, oh my goodness, when I got a divorce, I didn't know who I was, without my husband, or when I lost my job, I didn't know who I was without that job. Or so when I say, well, I didn't know who I was without my uniform, guess what? So many people can relate to that and they see themselves in that. And so at that point, I would tell that story. Okay. So now if I'm teaching about sales, I will tell the story of how when I first started selling online, nothing was working. Right. And some of us can all relate to that. Like, yeah, I tried to launch this thing and it just didn't work. And people can relate to that. They can see themselves in that story. So the stories that you tell depend on the kind of point that you're making. But each time you pull out a different part of your story that lines up with the point that you're trying to make. And so sharing your story goes a long way, you guys. So that's one way you're going to stand out online and differentiate yourself, because nobody has the same story. People can try to copy your content, they can try to copy how your graphics are done, but nobody can copy your story. Okay. Candace said, I had an event on last week on speaking on accepting your body and not conforming to societal norms. When I got the part about shaving the lady bits, I could feel the tension, so I told the story. Yes, that's so good. I love this. This is so good, Candace. The tension was that this is a beautiful example. Thank you for sharing this, Candace. This is a beautiful example of telling a story, right? It's beautiful. And that, y'all, like, let me tell you, I'm telling you, telling stories are powerful. I might need to like actually teach on this, because it's so much fun when you can tell a story and make a point. Because that, what, like, for example, what Candace did helped people to, it broke the ice, it broke the tension, and it probably helped some people who may have been afraid to talk about that, or afraid to acknowledge that about themselves, right? And so what happens is some people probably saw themselves in her story and they could relate and connect to that. Natasha says authentic storytelling. Yes. Y'all, let me tell you, if you sat down and you brainstorm stories that you can tell, this can help you with your content. If you can sit down and write, y'all, and it doesn't have to be a big drawn out elaborate story. Like, it doesn't have to be a dramatic, big plot and all the things and all the characters. It doesn't have to be like that. It could be a very simple story that helps somebody to understand something. And if you can learn how to do that, that's some powerful marketing right there. They can't copy that sauce. I know that's right. Exactly. They can't copy that sauce though. That is so true. Yeah. Yep. When you connect with people like that, that's powerful. You go, Natasha. So y'all, don't be afraid to talk about your journey, talk about some of the things that you have experienced in differentiating yourself, setting yourself apart, because some people are going to be excited about working with you just because they know what you've been through, what you've been able to accomplish. This is what helps people to see you as a person to go to, because let me tell you, there's nothing more inspirational than connecting with somebody who's been through what you're going through, or someone who has accomplished what you're trying to accomplish. So, for example, when I first found out that my son had some autoimmune disorders, I was talking to a friend, and she was like, "Oh," she was like, "I got autoimmune disorders," and I was like, "Girl, what?" She was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh," so because at first it was like overwhelming. It's like, oh my gosh, like this is a lot to try to deal with, right? But when I was talking to her, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I have some autoimmune." She was like, He's gonna be fine." So that kind of like helped me to like ease my mind, because it's like, oh, but she just shared a quick part of her story with me, and that was very helpful to me. And your story is going to be helpful to your people as well. Okay, so now here's the other thing, you guys. Besides your story, the next thing that's going to help you stand out online in an amazing way are your opinions. Believe it or not, your opinions are important to your audience. And here's the thing, y'all. Like, I'm not against inspirational quotes at all. As a matter of fact, I give my clients 300 inspirational quotes that they can use as their own. And I always tell them, just make it your own voice. If you need, some inspiration for the day, maybe you're trying to get your content together for the week, and you're like, listen, I don't have it this week, right? Like when my kids had the flu, I was like, you know what? I just don't have it this week. you can go, they can go to those quotes and pull out their, some quotes to use and just put it in their own voice. But the thing is, if there's only inspirational quotes all the time, people don't get to connect with your story and they don't get like the full feel of your brand. You're only showing them a small portion of who you are by only posting inspirational quotes. So you want to give people a full view of what your brand is like and what it's like to work with you. And so, yes, you want to do inspirational quotes, but you also want to show them who you are. And so one way to do that is to share your opinions on certain things that are going on in your space. Now, this draws me to the people who I work with. Hey, so if you share an opinion, let's say you have an opinion about something in your space, you can let me know in the comments. What's a strong opinion that you have that other people just might disagree with about something that's going on in your space? So, for example, I'll share one of the opinions that I have is I know that a lot of people in my space, they don't like to talk to people. They would rather that their clients become clients by going through a funnel. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I believe that it's important to talk to people. Like if I when I do run my funnels, I still make an effort to connect with people and talk to people who are in my audience. I don't just send them through an automated process and just hope they join my program. Like I try to reach out to them, I email them, I send them a friend request, I send them a direct message, something along those lines, because I want to connect with people. And yes, I'm an introvert. But at the same time, you guys, I understand that if I want people to work with me, if I want people to invest in my programs, what is the harm in just reaching out to try to connect with them? But I know some people who they don't want to talk to people at all. That is a strong opinion that I have, is that listen, yes, we have all of this technology, but don't allow technology to keep you from building relationships with people in your audience. That is an opinion that I have about something that's happening in my space, in my niche. And so you may have an opinion about something that's happening in your niche, such as maybe if you're in the fitness space and you don't like these fad diets, or you don't like calling a diet, but maybe you prefer to call a diet a lifestyle change, or a lifestyle. Because I know for sure some people run at the word diet. Like they don't, that's just not something that resonates with them. Diet sounds scary, it sounds hard, it sounds like it's too much work, but a lifestyle is different. That may be attractive to some people. So maybe you have a strong opinion about fad diets and you teach on how to make lasting changes in a person's life, right? You guys, this type of stuff makes a difference when your audience is aware that you feel that way, because guess what's going to happen? You're going to see some people that totally disagree with how you feel, and that's okay. It's okay. But you're going to have people that are like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad Candace said that. I'm so glad Natasha said, because I feel the same way. When you have strong opinions, those opinions are polarizing, meaning it's going to repel the people who disagree with you and it's going to attract people who do agree with you. Let me tell you about the beauty in this for your brand, right? When you start attracting people who agree or who feel the same way that you do, then you are attracting your ideal client. It's very difficult to work with somebody who has a whole different mindset. Now listen, you want to have people on your team who think differently than you, right? Because you don't want a team full of people who are working with on your team to all think the same way. You want some diversity there. But let me tell you, when you're working with clients, you want to work with like-minded people so that you guys can get something done, right? I've had a client before who just totally disagreed with everything that I said, and I'm like, girl, like we are not compatible. Like if you coming to me to help you and then you're trying to, tell me, the stuff that you coming to me to learn, like this is not working out. And that is okay. Cause I'm like, listen, that does not make me feel like I'm not good enough or any of that. It just helps me to understand that there's a coach out there for you. It's just not me. It's just not me. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. But when you're working with clients, you want people who are on the same page as you, so that there's a mutual understanding, there's a mutual respect there. And so when you share your opinions, y'all, first of all, that is marketing. but you're showing people, hey, this is what I believe. This is how I get down. This is how I do business. And some people are going to be excited about that. So, for example, I teach my clients how to launch, right? I teach them how to launch. I teach them how to close sales without launching, so they can do both. They can close sales without launching, and they can close sales in a launch. But I just saw an ad that said, "I made all this money and I don't launch," right? So somebody who hates launching is going to be attracted to that. But I already know that I'm pretty sure that she probably uses ads, right? She probably uses ads because y'all, everything that is done in the online space takes work. There's no like none of these methods are easy. They all still take work. But I guarantee you that there's something in her method that requires you to run ads. So the thing with my clients, a lot of my clients are solopreneurs and they're just starting and they don't have the capital to put towards ads yet. So I teach them how to do it organically first and get their offer dialed in before we even start talking about ads. But I'm pretty sure that's her how she does it. I'm pretty sure somewhere in her method she's running some ads. But the thing is, if somebody doesn't like launching or they hate the idea of launching, they're going to be drawn to that ad. But somebody like me, I love to teach. I love launching because I enjoy engaging with my people. I enjoy engaging with my audience. And so for me, this is why I have to cut myself off. When I see the time getting up there, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to cut this off. I've been on here for an hour. It's because I love what I do. Okay. And so when your opinions are very clear to your audience, it's going to attract and it's going to repel. And unfortunately, sometimes you guys, it may attract some trolls too, because when you start making it real big, you're gonna be like, oh my goodness, where are all these trolls coming from? So just be ready for it. Just get your mindset ready for it. People make, they make rude comments and they're really just hating instead of congratulating you on your success. They just hate. But the thing is, you got to be able to share your opinions without worrying about what people are going to think, because the people who don't like it, they aren't your people anyway. But your people are going to be excited. They're going to be so thankful that you shared this because they're going to be able to relate to you. So don't be afraid to have a different opinion, have a polarizing opinion. There's always somebody on the opposite end, right? You're always going to have people who like peanut butter and you're going to have people who don't like peanut butter, right? And so that doesn't mean that if you love peanut butter, you shouldn't share it. Okay? Because you're going to have people that just disagree, but that shouldn't be discouraging to you because it's just marketing. It's just marketing. So if you say I don't like peanut butter, you're going to have somebody say, "Well, peanut butter is great. Why don't you like peanut butter?" And then if you like peanut butter and you say I love peanut butter, then somebody's going to say, "Well, peanut butter is terrible. Why do you even like peanut butter?" Right? So it's not something, and I'm just saying this because when you encounter these kind of situations, you will understand what I mean. Like, you are not out here to please everybody. You are here to market to your ideal client, your ideal customer. Okay? You cannot please everybody. You cannot be favorable to everybody. You cannot be everybody's cup of tea. When you're marketing online, your goal is to appeal to your ideal client and nobody else, okay? So I always talk about how my dad comments on like all of my posts. If you're connected to my personal profile, my dad comments on my stuff. And I'm like, so I was telling him the other day, I'm like, Dad, like this is, I post for my ideal client. Like I'm talking to my ideal client. He does not care. He's gonna support his firstborn his firstborn child, right? So, but it's just a cool thing. And my husband was like, "Well, that's your daddy, girl. He's gonna be on your post." And my clients and I joke about it because it's adorable to have my dad, because y'all know I lost my mom last year. So having my dad like showing up on my post and commenting, he's like, he don't care about all this ideal client and stuff. He just know his child is making a post and he's gonna comment on it. But I'm talking to my ideal client. When I make a post, I'm talking to my ideal client and nobody else. I don't care about somebody who's not called to work with me, somebody who is not my ideal client. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to my ideal client. I love this. I hate the word diet. It's definitely a lifestyle. Yep, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Polarizing opinion. Yep. No shortcuts. Yes. Natasha, you already know. You already know. Yep, get ready for yep. Get this, and that's what you gotta do. You gotta have some thick skin and you gotta ignore him. And you also really just think about who it's coming from, right? So if you have somebody who's like a mentor, like if my mentor was like, hey girl, like you need to do this or you need to do that, I'm all ears because I know that my mentor has my best interests at heart, right? Um, but if it's somebody, y'all, let me tell you, if somebody is trolling you or criticizing you, more than likely that's somebody who's on the sidelines anyway. They're on the sidelines watching you while you're in the game. You're in the game, they're watching from the sidelines. Those are usually the kind of people that usually people who are successful and doing their own thing, they're working their own purpose. They don't have time to sit there and criticize you and get all deep into what you're doing. Okay. So those are the people like Natasha said, you just ignore them, right? You just gotta ignore them. Candace said my dad does too. He said maybe his friends. That's so nice. That is so sweet, Candace, that he does that. It is. Natasha says it's a blessing to have a dad that cares. It is. It really is. So y'all, so think about what your opinions are and share about those opinions, right? And you can even talk about certain ideas that you disagree with, certain strategies that you disagree. Like one time I had this little rant going on where there was this thing that, and people probably still do this, where they would follow you on Instagram. And I think maybe people probably, I'm pretty sure people probably still do this. To get more followers, they would follow you on Instagram, and then if you don't follow them back, they unfollow. So they're doing this thing where they go follow a whole bunch of people. Whoever follows them back, they keep the connection. If the person doesn't follow them back, they unfollow. And for me, I'm like, that's just so not authentic. I'm like, if you're gonna follow somebody, then follow them genuinely, right? So that was a strategy that I totally disagree with. And so that's something that I could talk about. It's a polarizing opinion where I'm like, listen, you're taking a stance. I'm taking a stance on this mountain right here, right? When you take a stance on your mountain, you're gonna see that sea start to part, and you're gonna have people disagreeing, and you're gonna have people agreeing, and that's okay. Like Natasha said, you got to have some thick skin and understand it's a marketing game. It's a marketing game. When you see people, y'all, when you see these ads, when you see one ad that says, "Oh, I just made $1 million doing webinars," and then after that, you see another ad that says, "Webinars are terrible. Do this instead." Right? They're just marketing. They're just showing you how they did it. There's so many ways to to be successful. They're just showing you how they did. They're just showing you their way. So what I normally say, y'all, is find somebody who's doing it the way you want to do it in line with them, because trying to do 10,000 different things, trying to get to one goal, 10 different ways is hard. Find somebody who's doing it the way you want to do it and line up with that way and stick to it. Because I spent a lot of time hopping to different things, and that's doing is wasting your time. Find one way and work it. They all work, to be honest. Webinars work, master, they all work. It's just a market, they're just marketing, right? They're trying to appeal to people who hate webinars. But guess what? The way that they're teaching is work too, right? They're just trying to appeal to their ideal client. Okay. So, what are some of your polarizing opinions? Think about that and how you can share, and then you watch how you have people saying, "Oh yeah, this is I'm so glad you said this," or you saying, "Oh," you may see somebody say, "Oh, I've been thinking this thing too. I've been thinking about this too," or you know what? Yeah, I'm so glad you finally put that out there. Good morning. I'm taking notes. Yay! I'm so glad because y'all know I get on here and get to go. I get to going. So taking notes is a good thing. Okay, so we talked about telling your story, how your story differentiates you. Don't be afraid to share your story. You'd be surprised at how many people are like, "Oh my goodness, I thought I was the only one going through this. I thought I was the only one who experienced this." I shared a story the other day about how I had this teacher, this professor, when I was getting my Master of Divinity degree. He was such a hard grader. He was such a hard grader. And I was just like, I've never had a teacher who graded this hard. Like, he was not a joke. And somebody else commented and was like, I had a teacher like this. I had teachers like this too. And I'm like, even though that was one person who commented, that said that they had a teacher like that, that's a person who I was able to connect with from a story. They saw themselves in that story. Okay. And we also talked about your opinions. Your opinion is your opinion, and you can leverage how you see things and how you feel about stuff in your niche to attract the right people to you. Don't feel like, oh, this person is a guru and they said it this way, but I don't agree with that. Listen, there are people who are waiting for somebody to disagree with the gurus. Okay. There are people who are waiting to say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I've found somebody who sees this differently. Don't feel like, oh, because this person said it. I have a client who she talks about certain things with like money management and stuff like that. And I'm like, don't be afraid to disagree with Dave Ramsey. Like, don't be afraid if you have something that doesn't go along with what he says, because somebody's waiting for somebody to say something different, right? Don't be afraid to own your brand voice. Okay, your opinions are a major part of your brand voice. Okay, you own your voice and you have your opinions, and don't be afraid to share them. And then the final thing, you guys, that I want to say, now there are a lot of things to set you apart online, but I want to talk about three main things today: your story, your opinions, and then finally, y'all, consistency. Consistency will help you to stand out online, and here's why. Because most people are not consistent. Most people are not consistent. So if you're consistent, you're already standing out. If you're showing up, and I'm not talking about like burning yourself out and things like that, because we know that burnout is not the answer. We have too much going on to be burned out. We've got children, we've got spouses, we've got some of you guys have a job or other things that you do. Some of you are active in ministry. We have too much going on to be burned out, okay? But consistency, there's some ways to get yourself in a place where you're being consistent, and you have to fight for it. You have to fight for it. Candace says the consistency struggle is real. Thank you for saying that, Candace, because you are so right. It is a struggle. It is a real struggle, y'all. Like, it's a struggle, but let me tell you, you got to fight for it. You got to fight for it, because here's the thing, y'all. Being consistent is not just for your audience, it's for you too. Let me tell you, when you make up in your mind that you're going to be consistent, let's say you start with saying, you know what, I'm just gonna post every day. It doesn't have to be like a big grand post or anything, but every day I'm gonna say something to my audience every single day. Even if it's just a one-liner, I'm gonna say something to my audience every single day. And you start with that, and you say, okay, I'm gonna do this every day. If you fight for it, let's say it's 11:59, and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't post anything. And you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave everybody with this encouraging quote. And that's gonna be what I'm gonna say to my audience today, right? And then you do that, and then you make that post. It starts to change you over time. You start to become a better version of yourself. And I know this from experience. You start to literally elevate. You start to transform into the person who can get that vision done that you see in your spirit. You start to transform into her, the woman who can get the job done. Because see, right now, you guys, there's a gap. There's always a gap between where you are and where you want to be. And the way that you fill that gap is you literally start to become a better version of yourself. You become the woman who gets the job done. If you want to make six figures this year, you have to become the woman who makes six figures. Okay? If you're on track for seven figures this year, you have to become the woman who makes seven figures. There's a gap, right? There's always a gap. And I think so many people, they know that there's a gap, but they haven't identified it. And so all they know is, oh my gosh, I can't do this. You just have to change, right? It's true. You can't do it as you are. You have to become a better version of yourself. Okay. And so a lot of times, and this is why I always say that entrepreneurship it's a big personal development journey, because you have to change to get to where you're going. You got to fight for the habits that you need to put in place. And it's so true what Candace said. The struggle is real, y'all. but the reward is so worth it. When you come out on the other side of being consistent, you will have people so in awe, like, how did you get there? And you're just like, I just kept at it. I just chipped away at it every single day. Imagine if you picked something and you said, listen, I'm gonna be consistent in this thing every single day. You start to change. You begin to elevate and you begin to realize, wait a minute, I'm them. I'm one of them. You know how when you're doing something, you always have people that you admire, that you look up to. And sometimes, y'all, I'm just gonna be real. Sometimes we know that there's a separation. We know that there's them and then there's me, or there's us, right? So for example, when I was coming up in school and I played the clarinet, when I was just starting, I was sitting in the back row because I wasn't that good yet. And so I saw the ones who sat in the front row as them, right? Those of us who were in the third row, we were us. The ones who sat in the front row were them because they were really great at what they were doing, right? But guess what? One day I was in the front row, right? So I I'm now one of them. So what happens is the more consistent you are in what you're doing, you start to become one of them. One of the ones that you sat back and you're like, oh my goodness, I admire this person for the work that they're doing. Now, now you're on the other side because you're on the other side of consistency. And that's what I mean by the reward is so worth it, y'all. You got to fight for it. You have to have the discipline to make it happen. And the more you discipline yourself, you will change. Your leadership is going to be on the next level. And that's what it's really all about, y'all. We're leaders. And some people don't see it as that. If you're an entrepreneur, you're a coach, consultant, any type of business person, you have to see yourself as a leader and you're leading. And that's why that's why I'm talking about your story, your opinions. All of this is leadership. When you share your opinions, leadership. You're leading, right? And some leaders, we don't follow all leaders, right? We follow the leaders that we resonate with. Your people are going to resonate with you. Okay? So being consistent is what's going to help you to stand out because your people are going to see you daily. They're going to be able to connect with you daily. Every time you connect with your audience, every time you post, it's like you saying, "Hey, I'm in business. I'm ready to serve. I'm here to serve. I'm in business." Can you imagine going to a store? My husband and I went to this restaurant that we did not know that was not open anymore, but we thought we saw it and we were like, "Oh, this looks like a good place to go eat." So we went there and the doors were closed, right? So that was a clear way of saying we are not open for business, right? When you're consistent, that's like you saying to your audience, I'm open for business. Okay. And it doesn't have to be an overnight thing. You can start with one thing. And if it's okay, you know what? I'm just gonna start posting something to my audience every day. Or you know what? I'm gonna do this one thing every single day. Or even if you have to schedule it in advance, as long as you're consistent and you start with one thing and you start stacking. Maybe it's posting every day. Then maybe the next thing is like, you know what? I'm gonna start doing some weekly content every week. I have a client who recently started doing content every single week, and she's crushing it. And she just said, I'm gonna step out here. I'm gonna get started with it. And now her business is growing. Her email list is growing. And I'm like, oh my goodness! Like you are doing the thing. But it started with one thing, with her saying, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go live every week at the same time and connect with my audience. And now she's growing like wildfire. And that's what happens with when you make up in your mind, you're going to be consistent. You're not going to let any excuses get through. There's no excuses, y'all, because listen, we prioritize the things that we see as important. Your business is the key to you being able to live the kind of life you want. It's the key to your children being able to have the things that you want them to have and do the things that you want them to do. It's just like, if you show up for a test, and I think I said this before, if you show up for a test and you haven't studied, you're going to fail that test, right? Y'all, this is not even a test. This is real life. And when you are trying to get things done without doing the work, that's just like showing up for your test without studying, right? This is not a test, y'all. This is real life. This is our real lives. And so you have to prioritize your business and believe that your business is what's next, because wherever you are putting your faith, wherever you're putting your belief, your actions are going to follow. So if you really believe that your business is the key to breakthrough for your family, show up like that. Show up like, okay, this is my business. This is about to be the thing that's going to give my family more freedom, give my family more options, right? Because see, money, a lot of times, it's not about yes, we want to make money, but at the end of the day, it's more about us having options, right? You got options. You can choose this or that. Okay, do I want my kids to go to public school or private school? You know what? I want them to go to private school. You know what? Do I want to go to Hawaii or do I want to go to Jamaica, right? You got options, right? Do I want to get this car or do I want to get that car? You have something you can choose when you have money. Money creates options for you. And I know that with most of my clients, they want options, right? It's bigger than the money. They want options and they want freedom. And I'm telling you, if you do the work, you will get there. And it may not happen overnight, but your consistency is showing that you believe. Y'all, let me tell you, this is deeper than just staying with it, right? When you're consistent, you're proving that you believe. Because nobody who if you don't believe, you don't have the strength to be consistent, because you're like, well, this is not helping anyway. This is not working anyway. You don't believe, so you're not consistent. But a person who believes is consistent, because they believe that even though I may not see all of the results that I really want to see at this moment, I know that they're coming. I know that my efforts are going to pay off. I'm just in a place right now where I'm building, but I know that all of my work is going to pay off. A consistent person is a person full of faith and a person who believes. And that's what you got to do, y'all. Nobody can believe in your vision because you're the only person who sees it. So you can't expect other people to believe or see the vision because it's in your spirit, right? You have to make us see it. Make us see the vision, okay? And so when you're operating in consistency, you're operating in faith, you're operating in belief that it's going to pay off, okay? No matter what, you got to show up every day consistently and fight for your dreams, and you be surprised at what you can build. Even y'all, we're still at the top of the year. If you start being consistent now, imagine where you be at the end of the year. You're going to be a whole different person. Your business is going to be a different business. Okay? You're going to be the woman who gets the job done. You're going to become that woman. So watch at the end of the year what happens when you start to be consistent. All right, y'all. So before we get off, I wanted to remind you of the in-person event that we have coming up in Atlanta, April 5th and 6th. We're going to be at the Marriott in Atlanta. It's a 2-day intensive, and I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know. And the reason why I say intensive is because it's going to be a lot of information. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to build a business online, a thriving business online, selling your expertise. We're going to talk about everything from your brand messaging all the way up through how to run Facebook ads. Like, we're going to go in and talk about all of these things. So when you walk away, you're going to have stuff that you can implement for the rest of the year. Okay. And just like I was telling somebody last a couple of weeks ago, I was like, listen, you're not going to find an event of this quality at this price, because jump on it now while you can. Okay, so it's so worth the investment. So we're going to talk about funnels. For those of you who are like, what, girl, what is a funnel and do I need one? How do I put this together? We're going to talk about building funnels. We're going to be talking about how to create offers. I'm going to teach you how to launch from the start all the way to the end. So much goodness, y'all. So if you're interested in getting a seat, it's a small, intimate event. It's not a large event where you're going to get lost in the sauce. It's a small and intimate event where you will be able to get the support you need and get your questions answered. And you're going to walk away with a plan. This is not an event where you're going to walk away feeling inspired, and then as soon as you get on the plane or as soon as you get back home, you've lost the inspiration, because you're going to walk away with stuff that you can actually implement and apply to your business. I told you guys before that I've spent a lot of money on events, and I walk away with way less. Y'all, I spent $4,000 on a four-day event, and I walked away with way less than what you're going to get at this event. I want people to walk away like, oh my gosh, I got stuff that I could work on for the rest. You're going to be implementing that this weekend. You're going to get all the stuff that you can work on implementing for the rest of the year. Okay. So you can have a plan. You can say, okay, it's April. I'm getting all this information. So for the rest of April, I'm focusing on this. And then in May, I'm working on this. And then in June, I'm working on this. Imagine, instead of being lost with what to do next, you know exactly what you're doing next. You have a plan for how you're going to grow your business. You know exactly what you're working on and when you're going to work on it. That is what you're going to walk away from this event with. Okay. So if you're interested, just shoot me a DM and say, hey, can you send me more information? I've got the information sheets available with all the details of what we're going to be covering, and the all the information you need. So if you want more information, just feel free to shoot me a message and let me know you want more information on the in-person event in Atlanta. I would love for you to be in the room. Also, if you haven't seen the 10 ways to package and sell your expertise, check your email. If you're on an email list, it's most likely in your email. If you're not on my email list, shoot me a message and I can make sure you get that. So I sent out 10 ways to package and sell your expertise online. And I actually sent out a really nice email a few days ago. As a matter of fact, one of my clients messaged me. She was like, that email was fire. There's so much value in it. My clients they always hype me up. So she was like, that email was fire. And I'm like, I'll be sending out those kind of emails every single week where you're getting a ton of value. And so if you want to get that 10 ways to package and sell your expertise online and you're not on my email list, send me a message. If you want to get a spot in our Atlanta event coming up in April, shoot me a message and I'll get you the rest of the details for that and get your spot booked. Because like I said, seating is limited. It is a small and intimate event, but I do have some spots available. Okay. All right, y'all. So this is y'all. I always have to figure out like what day it is. That's how much stuff I have going on during the day. I'm like, what is today and what do I have going on? So next Thursday, yep, next Thursday we'll be back here, same place, same time. Um, we're still diving in the stuff that we're talking about with building your brand online, building your online empire. And I know that somebody requested that we talk about LinkedIn. We're all gonna talk about marketing on LinkedIn. And maybe we'll cover that next week. Maybe we'll do LinkedIn next week. I can squeeze that in. So next week we'll talk about marketing on LinkedIn, and I'll give you some tips and strategies for how you can thrive on LinkedIn. And we'll get into some statistics and things like that. All right, you guys. So this has been awesome. I'm finishing just under an hour. I got 2 minutes until an hour. So I will feel good that I didn't keep you here for a whole hour, just almost, right? Well, technically, it kind of still is a whole hour. All right, you guys. This has been a beautiful time. Thank y'all so much for hanging out, showing up, for sharing your input, your experiences. I appreciate you so much. I'll see you next week here at the same time, same place. Have a beautiful Thursday and a great weekend, and I'll be seeing you again soon.